everybody. So sorry it's a little late today, and apologies for the dogs barking in the background. I actually got off my day job a little bit late today, so I am finally home and trying to stay cool because it's really hot outside here in Colorado. So I wanted to give you the permission to create your own Oracle deck. And the way that starts is by giving you permission to create your first Oracle card. So the first thing I want you to do, and feel free to save this video and come back to it later when you've got some more time, but just grab some supplies, some kind of drawing materials, some kind of paper. It doesn't really matter what the substance is because you're going to be taking a photo of it and then using that in Canva or some other photo editing software. It could even be the photo software or an app on your phone. So all you're going to be doing is taking a photo of it and then bringing it into a program to add your text and size it appropriately, etc. But that stuff really doesn't matter until you're ready to publish your whole deck. So as long as you get started and you've got the art going and you've got your ideas going, that's really all you need to get started. And it's deceptively easy. So I just pulled out some cards from two of my decks. This is my Messages of Meow deck, where I did the animal portraits and messages from the animals. And this was my Messages of the Dogs deck that I created. And again, just some cards. They're all mixed up now, but I did the same thing, so I did Wisdom from Dogs instead of Wisdom from Cats. So the only reason I'm pulling these out is because this is the standard size for Tarot/Oracle cards with the vendor I use, which is GameCrafter.com. They do print on demand. It's super easy to edit. It's super easy to upload and proof your files. And they handle all of the shipping, all of the printing, all of the shrink wrapping. And it makes it so easy, and it also makes it affordable. So one of the hurdles a lot of people have when they've thought about creating their own Oracle deck is not being sure where to start, number one, and number two, having absolutely no idea how to get them printed affordably. Because I have a history and a professional experience as a graphic designer. I've been doing graphic design for print, like annual reports, signage, conference booths, all kinds of stuff, for almost 20 years now. And the biggest thing is that if you're going to go to a printer and have them create this beautiful package of things for you that includes, cards, a booklet, a box, and you're going to have them, fold everything and assemble everything, it's going to be a huge outlay of cash. And for that reason, print on demand is the easiest way that you can get started. And these are super great quality. I mean, everybody who's purchased one of my decks, I have a third deck as well that I designed and published this last year. Everyone who has bought my decks from the Game Crafter has been really thrilled with the quality. So, are you ready to get started? The first thing I'm going to do, and these are roughly 3 by 5, a little bit smaller. Just realize when you create your artwork that it's going to be cropped at the end. I also have a watercolor pad, but you can use any kind of paper that you have. You could even use the back of a receipt if you have a receipt around and you're going to, take a photo of that, and you can use that in your graphic software. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these cards and I'm just going to trace around it to create my little guidelines on my paper so I know exactly how big it's going to be. And again, this isn't exact at this point because there is margin for error, there's margin to make creative decisions, but that's about the size of my card. And I'm actually going to rip this paper in half so that it makes it a little bit easier for me to show you what to do. So I've got my rough size. I'm actually going to take my card and draw margins on my paper, so I've got room to kind of play around with two different cards. And this is the first step. The second step is going to be coming up with a back design, which is going to be for all of your cards. Like this is my Message of the Dog's back, this is the Messages of Meow back. And the easiest thing to do if you're a business, if you have a business or you have a logo or some kind of signature for your name, is to incorporate your logo somehow into the back of the cards and then use some kind of design or, watercolor, artwork, a graphic, photo, anything that you resonate with. Because the whole point of having your very own Oracle deck is this is your energy, this is your wisdom, this is your magic. And as a coach, you could create your own deck of tips or modules that go along with a course or program. You could create your own inspirational mantras or messages or mandalas. The sky's the limit, but how awesome would it be for you to be able to give each and every new client a box of your very own oracle cards? They can really dive into your energy and keep your wisdom with them anytime, anywhere, throughout their work with you and after their work with you. And for me, the reason that I created my decks was because I just had wisdom to share. I'm very connected to the animal kingdom, so having the dog cards, it was very important for me, one, to connect with actual dogs. So these were people's pets. I got people to submit pets, both here and who had passed. And the same thing with the cats. People submitted actual cats, and I did the portraits and then channeled the messages through. So bringing animal wisdom through was important to me. Animal wisdom from actual pets, not just intangible kind of like, oh, what does a dog mean? What does a cat mean? No, each dog has a name and each cat has a name, and they have very specific wisdom that came through. My third deck was of my abstract artwork, so each piece of art, when I'm finished with it and all the layers have integrated, has a message to share, so I brought those into card form. So I want you to take a couple minutes or a few seconds, because I'm going kind of quickly, but I know you can rewind this video and watch it as many times as you want. So I want you to think about what really lights you up. When somebody asks you a question about this topic, you just get on fire and you can't stop talking and you just get excited, kind of like I am now. And you can't help from wanting to get this out into the world. You can take some notes, you can think about it, or you might even know. Maybe you're a doodler and you like to make intricate designs. Maybe you're really into affirmations. Maybe you're really into money mindset and you already have a list of your favorite money mindset techniques or your favorite money mindset mantras that you could put into deck form. Keeping that in mind, and again, I am going very quickly, because if this is not a good time for you, you're more than welcome to gather your supplies and then come back later and replay and join me. And then pause, and then join me again, and then pause, and then join me again. So, I'm starting out, and the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of tune in to what I am going to create with these cards. For me, it feels like color is very important, and I am curious to tap into the color and see what messages come from the color fields that I create. So there's really a couple ways that you could create your cards. One, you could start out with your messages, your steps to your program, your mantras, channeled messages, channeled quotes. If you've written an ebook or something, you could take little snippets, little tweetables from your ebook and use those for your oracle cards. So you can start first with your messages and then create art based on each message. Or you can create the art first and allow the art to speak to you, whether it's photography, whether it's handmade art, which I highly suggest because there's extra energy in handmade art. When we're using our hands, we're channeling energy from our heart chakra down through our arms and hands and into the page, so that there's another level of energy and another level of potency there. And I prefer to let the art speak to me, at least in this instance, and I have for all my other decks. So we'll see what happens. But I have my watercolor palette here. This is professional grade watercolor, so if you're just starting out, it may be a little pricey for you. I actually saved up for this set because the colors are so vibrant and gorgeous. This is a Schminke set from Germany. And then I just have some random paint brushes. These are not watercolor brushes, but you can use them for watercolor. And I got them from Target, so they're cheap brushes, but they do the job. So I am just dipping my brush in water and then looking at my paint palette, and I notice first which color draws my eye. The first color that drew my eye was this cobalt teal, and then I'm just asking as I come to the page, and this is probably going to get a little bit messy, a little bit drippy, I'm asking kind of where that color wants to go and allowing that to spread around, dab around. This is the intuitive piece. We're all natural channels, so you already have this wisdom, you already have this creativity inside you. It's just a matter of accepting that, recognizing that, and allowing it to come forward. And taking the first step just by making a mark, or some random marks like I did on my page, is one way to begin that flow. And once you start the flow, you just keep your flow going. So now I'm doing the same thing again, and this isn't how I always do it, but it's a great way I've found to coach people to intuitively choose colors and tools, is I literally look at my watercolor palette, and the first color my eye goes to is the next color that I use. So this time, my eye went to a yellow color, and so I'm just intuitively noticing where I feel like touching my paintbrush down. There's no thinking here. I'm not trying to make something in particular. For these demo cards that I'm doing, all I'm doing is bringing forth the color. My intention is to bring forth the energy that wants to go into these cards, and then afterwards I will let the energy speak to me, and whatever inspiration, whatever words come through are what I will pair with this card. There's also a couple ways that you can do it with the messages. You can either write, a mantra or a phrase or something directly on your card. You could use this art and then use Canva or WordSwag or something to put words on your art. You could also not have any words on the art except maybe a number so people know where to find the message. And then when you create the booklet, you can have those numbered in order so people will say, oh, this is number 15, so I'm going to flip to 15 in the book and get my message. So there are a variety of ways that you can do it, but I'm just showing you one way, and I'm proving to you how simple and easy it is, because it's easy, right? So the next color my eye goes to is this carmine. It's kind of a pinkish red. And I'm dragging this in here. And again, I'm just allowing it to come together intuitively. Then I look at my paints again and notice what's the first color that my eye goes to. It's a green. So this is getting pretty rainbowy. And I'm just noticing again where my brush wants to touch down. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just allowing that to happen. And I'm actually going to let this dry because it's getting too wet to add any more layers to it. With water-based media, you just need to watch out that things don't get muddy. So a good idea is to stop before, the greens and the reds start blending together. But I'm going to go ahead and start playing around with a second card. So again, with my intention, my personal intention is to bring through the energy in color form that wants to come through and that will be paired with my oracle card messages. And again, I'm looking, and this is interesting because my eye kind of went to a brown, and my mind is not thrilled with the brown, but it's not about the mind, it's about the energy. So I'm just adding color, and again, rinsing my brush. Next color my eye goes to is another brown. So this is very interesting. It's kind of a brownish, a reddish brownish. And I'm just noticing again where my brush wants to touch down. Nice and loose and flowy. And then again, I'm drawn to a green. So again, not questioning is key, keeping the flow going, the movement going. And it's almost turning into kind of a camouflage. And one more time, I feel compelled to look down at my palette, and I'm picking up a blue this time. So blue, I'm just adding some blue in here with the green. And I am going to get the drips going there. And I feel just like adding some more of this blue over here. And I'm gonna let that sink in, just playing by flipping it over and kind of letting it drip and letting it emerge, letting the color emerge. So I've got two here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to ask for the wisdom that wants to come through. You can continue layering. It's really up to you. It's really you feeling into the energy and saying, do these want to be multi-layered, really juicy, full of depth cards, Or do they want to be lighter and fanciful and more fun? Totally up to you again. But I am going to ask for a message to come through. And one way to give yourself kind of a writing prompt is to say this is going to be my card after I, take a photo of it and or cut it out and then take a photo of it. But I'll probably just take a photo of it like this. I'm going to ask, if you had a message to share, what would that message be? So I'm just going to ground myself, and I will go ahead and keep holding this up. So I am tuning in. And is there a word that wants to come through for this card? And the word that I'm getting is believe, so I'm just going to make a note of that. Here under my card is believe. And then I've got my other paper that I'm going to write on, so believe. And I'm going to ask if there were a larger message that wanted to come through to clarify this energy and make it more accessible, what would that message be? And I am getting, my heart is wandering, and I know not where, but I follow its whispers because its compass is true. The purity of the heart space is magic when allowed to flow into the space created by possibility. All right, so I just kind of scribbled that down here. And again, I will read it back to you. And I'm not questioning it, right? One of the keys to developing your intuition muscle, to strengthening that muscle, is to trust what comes through. Don't let the mind get involved. Let what comes through come through, and then leave it. All right. So this colorful card is believe. My heart's wandering, and I know not where, but I follow its whispers because its compass is true. The purity of the heart space is magic when allowed to flow into the space created by possibility. And I will probably end up putting the word believe on this card. I could start that right now if I wanted to handwrite it, but I may wait until I can take a photo of it and then pull it into WordSwag, the app on my phone, or Canva. As a graphic designer, I have tons of professional software. I've got Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign and all of that, so I would probably use that, but you're perfectly fine. If you do pull it into Canva, the dimensions that you want to use for Canva are 900 by 1500. So when you open up Canva at canva.com, you want to type in custom dimensions, and you want the dimensions to be 900 by 1500, and that will give you the appropriate file size for saving and then uploading to the Game Crafter when it is time for you to actually create the files for your cards. I actually do have a course called My Magic Oracle, which takes you all the way from concept to images to messages to putting it all together, and I have tons of video tutorials taking you through the exact process in the exact interface of Game Crafter, all the way up to creating your official Game Crafter sales page, hitting publish, choosing your commission, etc. So that is on my website, magicwithmellie.com, under Oracle cards, if you're curious. I am going to bring through a message for this piece now. And the first thing I'm going to ask is, if this piece had a word to express the energy encoded, what would that word be? And the word that has come through is wishing. Wishing. So this will be wishing. And then I'm going to ask if you could add some clarity to the word wishing for this oracle card. What would that clarity be expressed in words? And I'm just tuning in. And occasionally, sometimes I gaze back at my artwork to get the message. Wishing. There is a magic in daring to reach higher and farther than you believe is possible. By stretching this muscle, you allow the space to expand, and you activate the nodes of possibility. As they are activated, they move towards the boundary. I'm running out of room. They move towards the boundary of the veil and become closer than ever to manifestation. By wishing, you are taking action and increasing the likelihood of reaching the unreachable. And that is just the message that came through. So I will hold up this card up here. Again, I will probably take a photo of it, crop it, bring it into WordSwag or Canva or Photoshop if you have Photoshop, and then I will add my text to it, figure out how I want to lay it out, etc. So for wishing, again, the message is there is a magic in daring to reach higher and farther than you believe is possible. By stretching this muscle, you allow the space to expand and you activate the nodes of possibility. As they are activated, they move towards the boundary of the veil and become closer than ever to manifestation. By wishing, you are taking action and increasing the likelihood of reaching the unreachable. So I can barely read my own writing. So that completes our first one or two oracle cards. The next thing that you would do is create after you've created your full set of cards and you have your full set of messages, is you would create another one of these that becomes, again, the back of the cards, which you want to be something that's, lovely to look at. Again, it could include your logo, your branding colors, photos that you love. But generally, I prefer for the backs to be consistent because then it allows you to shuffle them and not know what's on the other side. And you could create the back the same way as you created these by just intuiting what wants to come through, what tools you want to use, whether you love using watercolor, you love using acrylics or oil paints or pastels, or even just, pen and paper. It could just be doodles and Zentangles and mandalas. Totally up to you. Don't think about it. Bring that energy down from your mind into your heart and allow your heart to speak, because that's the key. And we're all here for a unique purpose. We all have unique perspectives. We each have a unique wisdom and means of communication. For some people, it's more visual. For others, it's more through words. So in that case, maybe you do have all of the words on one side of your oracle card. But there are so many possibilities that, and it's such an easy process, that there's really no reason to wait. There's no reason to wait until you have thousands and thousands of dollars to invest in stocking your own inventory. There's no reason to wait until you feel like you've made it. Now is the time. Now you're building the foundation. Now you are reaching your clients. You're reaching out for your clients and saying, look at what I have to share. This is my gift to you. It's an energetic gift, even if they end up purchasing the deck. But it can, as I mentioned before, be a gift that you give upon signing a new client as a welcome gift. It could be a parting gift when you're done coaching your client, for them to take forward and become independent and empowered on their own. So feel free to hit me up with any questions. Feel free to check out my Magic Oracle eCourse if you're interested. I will offer 50% off to anybody in this group for the next week or so. If you want, you can ask me for an invoice, and I'll set you up through PayPal, and then I'll give you access to the course. So if this is something you're interested in, but I've already given you all you need to know, really, right? I've already kind of explained how you can tune in, get your art, get your messages. TheGameCrafter.com is the site that I use and I'm extremely happy with, and I'm always here, so feel free to ask. I am not afraid to get back up on my you can create your own Oracle deck soapbox and empower you and excite you and inspire you. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will talk to you later.